guys. Alright, so we're going to jump back on this. Got a list of a bunch of things to do so I can stay focused, get it done. Right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to work on running my wiring basically from the dash back to the amp rack. So that's what I'm going to do now. So I'm going to get this thing going and start running some wires. So Nathan got the wires that are going into the door ran through the factory stuff from here through the boot. There's actually an opening in the boot here. We didn't have to drill it out because we don't like doing that because it ruins the integrity of the vehicle. So there was actually a hole, so we were able to run some 16 gauge iConnex wire for the tweeter, which is going to mount up here in this location, and the 8-inch mid base that's going to mount down here. So then they ran to the inside of the vehicle. We're going to put a Molex connector here, go ahead and label it, and then we're going to run wires. We're going to take these channels apart, they unclip, we're going to run the wiring along with the factory wiring all the way back to the back of the vehicle. Leave plenty of slack because we don't know where it's going to get terminated. So I'm going to go ahead and get these channels popped apart, back channel popped apart, go ahead and make my cables, get them prepped, get some Molex connectors put on them, and go from there. Basically we're just gonna remove these clips right here. I'll show you guys how I did it. So you can pop this up, and now we can get the wires ran through here, get that ran through there. We also have to run an optical cable and a remote turn on wire from behind the radio down through the dash and then come along the same channel. So I'm going to go ahead and get that stuff and get that ran as well. Alright, so this is the gist of what's going on. We have a bunch of wires you can see running through this factory channel, tie wrapped every about 4 inches or so. We have center channel, optical, remote turn on, the tweeter and mid base wires that go into the door that are connected with some plugs running through this channel. Back under here, back here, I'm going to go ahead and pull this channel apart, get this ran back, and then I'm going to just repeat the same process on that side, and then we'll jump to getting the Amp Pro module put in, and then we'll start. I think after I get all the wires ran down that side, we have to run the tweeter, mid-bass, mid-range wires. We also have to run the bass knob wire. We're going to run that down the driver's side through the same process as this. We ran on coming back to this side. This is the remote turn on wire. It's going to actually go up into a spot where customer wants a valet switch for the system, so you'll be able to shut the whole thing off in case it goes into service and stuff, so people can't mess with the sound system. Customer request, so that's pretty cool. I think I'm going to put it hidden up in top of the glove box area in here. So, got a wire there. We'll run a wire down from the Amp Pro's turn on to the switch, connect to this wire. It's going to go back to a relay and turn on all the amplifiers. So it's going to be cool. So you guys can see what's going on here. I'm going to go ahead and finish taking that apart, getting all the wires secure in there, I'm going to jump to the other side and then finish the Amp Pro piece, and then we'll move on to speaker stuff, which will be dash, center, doors, headliner, rears, a bunch of different cool stuff. So, and also part of doing the speakers is we still have to sound treat the actual door panels themselves. So we're going to do some super fast sped up filming of this. So we'll sound treat the actual door panels, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the door weather barriers, which are solid plastic. So we have a lot of work to do on these, but for now I'm going to finish up the wiring in here. So that's what's going on. Alright, so we're going through this truck, and last thing we did was run all the wires into the doors, all the way back through all the factory channels back here. They need to be terminated. We got the amps dry fit in here on the amp rack. We'll get back to that later. Right now what I'm going to do is go ahead and get the rear roof speakers mounted in the headliner. So I got it over here, bunch of stands. We're going to have to do some modification to this housing. We're going to go ahead and do what it takes to get these in. We're going to use factory wiring for these. We have the plugs, so we'll go ahead and get these mounted in here and plug soldered to the drivers and go ahead and get this roof reinstalled in the vehicle. Okay, here we go. This is, so we're working on getting the roof speakers installed in the TRX, and this is my CAD program. I have all the adapters. This is a file for all the adapters for the RAM. This is our front 8-inch adapters, which we'll get into a little bit later. This is the tweeter adapter. This is the mid-range adapter. The mid-ranges physically don't fit in the front dash location. I've kind of done some fitment stuff, so I designed this adapter and this router jig to modify the Utopia 3WM, zoom in here, 3WM to fit in the dash location. So we're gonna laser cut all this stuff out, go ahead and attach the brand new 3WM drivers to our pieces. And with this little jig here, we're going to be able to router them on the router table and router the frame of the driver down to fit into the dash location. It's actually required to all 5 drivers that are going to go into the vehicle. So I'm going to go ahead and get this pulled over to the laser program, go ahead and get this stuff cut out, and then we'll go ahead and router these speakers and get them installed. And first we'll do the roof, and then we'll move to the center, left and right drivers. So check it out. So we got everything in the laser program, and we're going to go ahead and load some acrylic in the laser and cut all these adapters out. These are for the 3WMs. I actually have one of these done already that I was test fitting. So we're going to finish cutting these out and get them assembled and router the speakers and everything so you guys can see. These are actually for the tweeters that go in the doors. These are for the rears and left and right. We already have one done, which I'm going to use for the center. So go ahead and get this stuff cut out and go from there. Alright, so we got the laser ready to go, and I'm going to go ahead and get this thing cutting. Check it out, it's pretty cool. What are you guys doing?
Wrapping enclosures.
Wrapping enclosures. We wrap all the enclosures now in foam. Okay, so we're working on this. Headliner speakers. So we cut out all this stuff on the laser. These are the adapters. This is the router jig. Bam, bam, bam. Of course, I forgot to grab one of the speakers, so let's walk all the way back over here. So, a lot going on in here all the time. Grab one of the speakers. We're gonna do 2. Actually, no, we need to do 4. Wow. Utopia 10s.
Do you have any ETA?
Right. Got the 3WMs. I'm gonna open these up. We got 4 of them. Rears, left, right. Center one's already in. I'll show you guys that later. That was the R&D one. I'm gonna get some screws. Screws, not in there. Ordered new screws. I don't know where they're at.
So we got that.
Got the screws. Got screws, 4 plastic. They're designed for plastic. So, going to grab a razor blade. Pin this. Put this down. Bam, bam, bam. 3WM. It's going to mount in there. As you can see, the speaker is larger than the adapter. So I'm going to go ahead and mount this, and we're going to go router this speaker down. So let me see if I can get this set up somewhere. So let me get this set up. We're going to go ahead and get this attached. Actually, we'll go ahead and get all attached, and we'll go ahead and router down all these speakers. Okay, so got all the drivers mounted into the acrylic pieces, got the backs of the drivers taped up, and then this jig right here sits on the front of the driver, kind of around each screw. You guys can see that. So now we can put it on the router table and cut this edge right here. We can router this flush to the adapter so it follows the adapter. So we're going to take this back to the wood shop and go ahead and router these things down. Alright, so back here at the router. So got the mid-range driver. Sorry, the CNC is running in the background, so it's a little noisy in here. This is the driver, it's all taped up. Got my jig, it's gonna sit on the front of the driver. So what we're gonna do is we're going to lift, let's see if I can get a better shot here. I'm gonna lift this above the driver so the bearing runs on the template or the acrylic part, and this will trim off all the trim down the driver so it matches the shape of our adapter. So I'll go ahead and get this mounted up here. The original round, and now this is more of like a pin cushion shape. This is what we had to do to fit this driver in the factory location. So now I'm going to finish the other three. Okay, we got all four routed, and now we're going to go ahead and take these back inside. Got them all routed up, and now it's off to the next portion of the project. Okay, back in the shop side of things, and you saw we just routed these things down, all four of these drivers. So this is cool. We have to add one more thing to this whole design, is we need to fill this up so this tab is flat with the driver, so when we put the screw in there it rests on a flat surface. So this is actually, it happens to be 3/16 of an inch, and we have some 3/16 acrylic, so we're going to cut some 3/16 acrylic little tiny pieces to fit on each side of these drivers, and we're going to acrylic glue those little tabs on each side to make these little tabs flat to the front of the driver. So we're going to go ahead and pull these apart, go ahead and laser cut these out, and go ahead and glue all these up, and then we'll move to the next step. All right, So these are the little pieces I was talking about. Got these cut out. So these are gonna glue on to the speakers like this. You guys can see now that it's flat. So I gotta actually take the driver out, take the paper off, and take the paper off here, and then I can use acrylic adhesive and a syringe and glue those on the left and the right of the speaker. Okay, so got all these done. So we got a pair for the front and a pair for the back. You guys see we glued these little standoffs on, so now the adapter is flush with the speaker frame. So now it can screw into the dash and screw into the headliner in the back. So we're going to go ahead over there and get these. Actually, first we have to remove this paper and solder some connection leads, connection harnesses to the back of these for the roof. In the front we're going to solder a different set of leads because we ran wires to the dash locations. So we'll solder wires to these, and then we can go ahead and get them put in the car.
Let's get down to business. Give you one more night to get this. We've had a million nights just like this. So let's get down to business. Mama, please don't.
Okay, everything's prepped. These are the front or the rear driver with the OEM connector soldered. Rear left and rear right, and then this is the dash driver with our connector, Molex connector, 16 gauge wire soldered, and that'll connect to the 16 gauge wire that we ran to the back to the amp rack that's ran up into the dash. So this is all prepped. So that's good. We got that done. We got all that router down. Excuse my mess. This is something we're going to work on next, is mounting the 8-inch Utopia mid-bass drivers into the front doors. I did some sound treatment on the plastic panel. I got some prototypes cut out of chipboard, some acrylic pieces to router the door out. So we got some material coming in for this, so we are going to work on this next. Let's get these front doors and back doors done so we can get all the speakers in the car done, and then we can start reassembly and work on wiring up the amp rack, and then move on to the next part, which would be the sub enclosure. So stay tuned and check it out. Alright everyone, we got all the speakers routed down and prepped for installation in the locations. This pair is for the front dash location. This pair right here is for the rear. You guys can see this was the original shape and kind of what we did to modify everything to fit it in there. This custom acrylic adapter. The next step before we go ahead and start getting these in, I'll show you the next part of this. I'm going to get the headliner put back in the vehicle and then start getting most of the vehicle put back together so we can move on to the next portion of this install. This is the rear grille that goes in the roof location. What we're going to do is we're actually going to remove this grille and remove this material between the grill. So what I'm going to do, so when it goes into into the car, it's going to look something like that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and tape this off, and I'm going to paint back behind this grill a satin black, so it's not shiny, so it's a better finish around these drivers. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do now. Then everything will be done, and we can go ahead and start putting the headliner in and getting the speakers installed and the front mids installed, and then we're going to go ahead and put the truck back together as much as we possibly can, and then we'll move on to the doors. So here we go.
I'm about to let my heart speak. My friends keep telling me to leave this, so let's get down to business. Let's get down to business. Give you one more night to get this. We've had a million nights just like this, so let's get down to business. Let's get down to business. Give you one more night to get this.
Alright everyone, here in the wood shop, noisy, got a bunch of things going on, got a bunch of parts, got a bunch of plastic being cut. Sorry it's a mess, but we're busy. I just prepped these. I'm going to go ahead and scuff these and paint them real quick. So we'll grab a scuff pad so I can scuff up this surface on here so the paint adheres better to the paint will adhere better to the plastic when I scuff these. So just grab a little piece of this, go around and scuff the surface. You guys can see when you scuff it, it dulls out the surface, so there's actually sands it a little bit so the paint can adhere to the plastic better. So I'm gonna go ahead and blow these off and go ahead and paint them.
Million nights just like this. So let's get down to business. Back and forth, back and forth.
Alright, so we go ahead and paint these. Went ahead and painted these. Let these dry. I'm going to run over to the other side of the shop and work on something else. Alright, so I moved the headliner back here in the fab shop. These will line up, but we do need to grind a little bit of plastic here so this can clock around and line up perfectly, so we can go ahead and get this one mounted. So we'll go ahead and get this cut out real quick. Alright, so I just notched out a little bit of this plastic in here. Now the driver drops right in, it clocks right around, and it fits. It's going to be able to mount into this location. I went ahead and did this one as well, so they both go ahead and line up perfectly. We have factory plugs on these drivers, which will plug into the factory wiring. So I'm going to go ahead and take this out, get this pulled back over to the other side of the shop, and we can go ahead and get this assembled, get these drivers plugged in. And meanwhile, these are dry, so we can untape these, put the grills back together, and it'll have a nice black finish behind the shiny mesh, so it should look like a really nice finished piece. So let's go ahead and take this back over to the other side of the shop. All right, so now we can mount these speakers in. We have connections, so they plug right into the factory, and then that driver will sit right in there. Got some hardware. Get these mounted, and doesn't seem like this hardware works. It's good, perfect actually. All right, so those mounted right in there. Now what we're going to do is we need to make a ring of foam somehow to seal the driver into this opening, so the front and the back of the driver are separated. So it uses the roof cavity as an enclosure. So these will fit on there, but we want to make a ring so it seals down to the driver. So we're going to go ahead and work on that right now. Both sides will go in. We need to make some foam rings, so we're going to go ahead and do that now. Chipboard in the laser, and we're going to cut the OD size so this fits in there, so then I can line it up and cut the foam.